Boy, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about, baby, because there has been so many trades. There's been so many bombs. Today has been ridiculous. We are 2 days before the trade deadline. It's February 3rd. The trade deadline's February 5th. James Harden just got moved. Darius Garland just got moved. And there's another all-star in Memphis that got moved too. I'm going to walk through every single trade that happened today. There was another trade between the Detroit Pistons and I'll get to that here in a second, y'all, but this is crazy. Just 48 hours before the actual trade deadline, and we are seeing a lot of fireworks, a lot of bombs are dropping, a lot of pieces are moving, and there's a big shakeup in the NBA. Mo just jumped in the chat. He said, Dub Harden. I don't know if I agree with that, but Harden is in a new location. As you can see by the title of the show, the Clippers trade James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's talk about exactly what this trade is looking like and exactly what it is. So the Los Angeles Clippers and James Harden just yesterday, in a shocking revelation, decided that, hey, it's time to make a separation. It's time to break up. James Harden wanted out. And from what reports are saying, it's in large part due to the almighty dollar, y'all. James Harden wanted a contract extension, and the Clippers weren't willing to give him what he was looking for. From what I've heard, anywhere from 2 years to 80 million, so 40 million a year. And well, Harden was like, if you guys don't want to pay me, trade me somewhere where they'll pay me. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, who also have had their share of allegations and rumors and reports over these last couple of days, were like, James Harden, we want you and we'll pay you what you're looking for. The Cavaliers, on the other hand, will be giving up Darius Garland and a second-round pick, largely in part because over the last 2-3 seasons, well, and obviously before that, James Harden has been a level or two above Darius Garland. He's just been a little bit better, and he's been better this season, and he's definitely going to step in and fill Darius Garland's role. I won't get into exactly what that'll look like and what their roster is going to be and whatnot. However, these 2 point guards have been flopped. James Harden is in Cleveland. Darius Garland is in LA playing for the Clippers. And I do think that it's good for both sides. It's refreshing for both sides. The Clippers, although it may be a little troubling simply because they've won, I believe, 14 out of their last 17 games. It might be 15 out of the last 18. They're on a crazy run, though. 8-2 in their last 10 games. And they've been doing this with James Harden. So now you flip James Harden for Darius Garland, which I don't think it's a crazy drop-off. It might not be a drop-off at all because Darius Garland is like that. And now he's going to have more freedom and he's going to have more responsibility. So that could lead to him playing better because he's going to have the ball in his hands more. However, the Clippers are still a good team and a playoff caliber team with Darius Garland, Kawhi Leonard, who is playing like a top 5 player in the NBA right now. He's been leading the league in scoring since the middle of December, and he just got announced to the All-Star game, and he's going crazy right now. And they still got Big Zubac, and they still got a full roster with other pieces and stuff like that too. So the Clippers will still be good. How good is to be determined, and if they can keep winning, we'll just have to see if they can keep that up with Darius Garland. However, the Cavs, this is the big story with this whole thing because the Cleveland Cavaliers have been in search of something to get them over the hump. The Cavs have burned out and flamed out the last 2 years in the playoffs. And the thing about it is the Cavs have been, they've lost in the second round both years, but they've been slated to be the team to come out of the East both years, or they've been heavily favored and they just have fallen short year after year. And so this year, it was reports that they felt a lot of pressure to make some moves because if they didn't do that, Donovan Mitchell might walk in 2027 free agency. Well, with that pressure, that's why a couple days ago they went and got Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. And now, as of today, right now, just a few minutes ago, they have reported that James Harden is headed over there. So we'll see if a group of James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, you're bringing Keon Ellis, you're bringing Dennis Schroeder off the bench. They still have Max Strus, Sam Merrill, Jalen Tyson. So they got a good team. How far they'll go, That is to be determined. I'm not going to go too far into that because I just don't have time to push any agendas or deep dive into that right now. But what I do have time for is to talk about some more of these trades. And that specifically is the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade. The Grizzlies have decided to trade their all-star defensive player of the year, Jaren Jackson Jr., to the Utah Jazz in a shocking revelation. Y'all, I didn't see this coming. I don't think nobody's seen this coming. However, Jaren Jackson Jr. is now teaming up with Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Keontae George, and he is with the Utah Jazz, y'all. This was a shocking trade, but here we are now. And the thing about it is, there were a lot of players involved. There were 7 players involved, and we'll just have to see how it pans out. This is a move where you can't necessarily predict it right away. This is something where we'll have to look on like 2 or 3 years from now and really see who exactly won the trade, because there were 3 first-round picks put up by the Memphis Grizzlies. So we'll have to see who those picks turn into. And then ultimately, we'll have to see exactly what Jaren Jackson looks like alongside, Walker Kessler and alongside Lauri Markkanen. And we'll see if Keontae George can take that next step at the guard. We'll see what Ace Bailey turns into, because I think guys like Ace Bailey, Keontae George, Isaiah Collier, and some of those other younger guys that the Jazz have, them progressing and them reaching their potential can speak a lot to actually what this trade looks like. Like if Ace Bailey becomes an all-star caliber wing 3 or 4 years from now, this trade looks and feels a whole lot different. If Ace Bailey turns out to be a stud on the defensive end, him paired up with Jaren Jackson, this trade looks a whole lot different on the back end. So we'll have to see. But as of right now, let me give you guys the details of the trade. So the Memphis Grizzlies traded their star forward, Jaren Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams Jr., the same one that got into that little altercation with John Morant. Yes, he's in that deal. They all got traded to the Utah Jazz for Walter Clayton Jr., pretty good rookie with a solid, promising future for the Utah Jazz. Well, now for the Memphis Grizzlies, but Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, and 3 first-round picks. This is huge for both teams, I believe, because it sets both teams in new directions. So the Jazz actually took a step forward this year, and they've been fairly competitive. However, Lauri Markkanen's been in and out of the lineup. Walker Kessler has not been healthy for a majority of the season. But this team they're 13-35, so they're not they're not having a good season. They've lost 6 straight games in a row. However, this is a big jump from last year. The Utah Jazz have shown a lot more promise as opposed to last year, where they were the worst team in the Western Conference, and they only won 17 games throughout the whole season. Well, now, February 3rd, you've almost hit the games that you've won last year, and you still have about 3 more months of basketball to go. So they had the 2nd worst record in the NBA last year, and they've just looked like a completely different team. And it's in large part due to the growth of their young guys. Like how I was saying just a second ago, if their young guys can grow along with Jaren Jackson, along with Lauri Markkanen, then it's going to look a little different. But Keontae George took a step forward. Lauri Markkanen still produced at an all-star level. But they had some of these other young guys step in and really contribute to their team. Cody Williams is another guy, too. If he could take another step forward, that'd be huge for this team. Bryce Sensabaugh, he took a step forward. So we will have to see. But as of right now, the Jazz are a better team this year than they were last year. Now you add Jaren Jackson Jr. into the fold. What exactly does that mean? And this clearly signifies one thing, that the Utah Jazz are in fact trying to compete. The Utah Jazz they trying to get it cracking. The West is the West. We all know what the West looks like. We all know the West ain't nothing to play around with. But the Jazz are trying to get into the mix. Danny Ainge ain't playing around. He like, yo, we trying to come and compete. So if you remember a couple years ago, Lauri Markkanen, when he got Most Improved Player of the Year, I believe, the year before he came over to Utah, he was in Cleveland. He played the 3. He was a wing. That's when he played next to was it next to Evan Mobley and Jared Allen? No, it was next to Kevin Love and Jared Allen, I believe. But they had a 3 big lineup. Now, Utah's probably going to do something very similar starting Walker Kessler, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Lauri Markkanen. We'll have to see. Walker Kessler could come off the bench. We'll have to see. But as of right now, the Jazz have two guys on max contracts, two All-NBA caliber guys, two All-Star caliber players, and a defensive player of the year caliber type of guy, all defense type guy, Jaren Jackson Jr. So we'll have to see. And Keontae George has made a crazy leap this year. He's in contention for most improved player of the year. So Utah clearly has a direction moving forward. They are trying to compete. On top of that, they're going to get a lottery pick. You never know what could happen in the lottery. You've seen what happened with the Mavericks last year. You never know what could happen in the lottery. They got Cooper Flag. You've seen what happened 2 years ago with the Atlanta Hawks in the lottery. They got the number one pick in Zachary Ricochet. You never know what can happen. The Utah Jazz can mess around and leave with a top 4 pick. And, you know, hey, Frank C just said it in the chat. Hope they get a top 3-4 pick. I was looking at Caleb Wilson. Hey, you just never know what can happen. So, hey, Utah is not done yet. You are right. Ha 1, 2, 3. But let's talk about the Grizzlies because now their new future is set too. The Memphis Grizzlies have basically got off of Desmond Bane. They got off of Dylan Brooks. They just got off of Jaren Jackson Jr. They have 13 picks in the next 7 years. They have all 7 of their first-round picks, I believe, over the next 7 years. So they have all 7 of their picks, and they have some other first-round picks in there as well, totaling to 13. That doesn't even include their second-round picks. This is major for Memphis moving forward. Memphis has announced that they'll be moving forward, and their new core is it's going to be centered around. And I see some people on Twitter laughing about it. I'm not really mad about it though. But their new core is centered around Zach Edey, Colin Cowherd, Jalen Wells, and some of those other younger guys that they have as well. And now you throw in these 13 picks. Hey, sometimes you really got to blow it up and start from scratch. That is the best way to do it. Sometimes being competitive actually isn't the best thing. Sometimes you want to get a group of young guys that are hungry, that are eager to learn and want to get better, and you just throw those guys out there in the fire, and that allows those guys to get better. On you guys ever heard learning on the job, learning on the fly? Like learning on the fly means like you get put in the pilot seat and you got to learn how to fly before this plane crashes. That's what you do. You throw those younger guys out there and hey, you let them learn how to fly or you let them crash and burn. But in the process of that, the thing about not necessarily tanking but rebuilding is you're gonna get rewarded with a draft pick. So I mean, the worse you are, the better odds that you'll have next year. And you just keep doing. I mean, that's how Memphis got to where they're at right now. They literally got Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane. Now, no, this team didn't win a championship, but for a minute there, Memphis was pretty competitive. So now they're rebuilding and they're restarting and they're retooling. Now you have some young guys. All of their young guys play defense. They're young, they're hungry, and then you got 13 picks in the next 7 years. So like they're ultimately taking the OKC route, where it's like, let us just get a treasure chest of assets and draft capital, and we're just going to build from there with the younger guys that they have. I don't know if any of those younger guys will ever be all-stars. I know a lot of people are high on Colin Cowherd. Zach Edey is he's a decent big man, but I don't know if any of those Gigi Jackson's over there too. I don't know if any of them will be all-stars, but they do have the making of a solid core right there. And now through the draft, that's when you can go potentially get a Cam Boozer. That's when you can go potentially get a Darren Peterson, a Tyron Stokes, somebody that you bring in, and this guy is expected to come in and, be an all-star caliber player, average 25 plus down the road. So, it's going to be a long process for the Memphis Grizzlies, potentially, because you never know. Sometimes, like the Thunder turn it around like that. But you'll just have to see. Oh, my bad. I keep saying Colin Cowherd, Cedric Cowherd. My bad, y'all. Their names are crazy close. Like, come on, y'all. Y'all can't be mad at me for that. However, though, Cedric Cowherd, y'all. Yeah. So we'll just have to see exactly what that turns out to be for the Grizzlies. But they do have a lot of draft capital. But one more thing that we have to look out for with the Grizzlies. You just said it, Chosen One. Now they need to trade Ja Morant. So I don't know if they're in a rush to trade Ja right now. But I I think Elevato, that's how you say your name, Elevato. Elevato said, do they keep Ja? I don't think they keep Ja. I know I wouldn't keep Ja. If we're gonna do it, let's do it. Let's go ahead and get another first round pick or another one, or let's go get a couple more young players. So a couple more pieces that we can add into this. But yeah, we'll just have to see exactly what they do, how they move. But we do know that they have 13 first round picks, which is major. Oh, and also, too, I was mentioning their young core moving forward. Walter Clayton Jr. is certainly going to be a part of that. So I'm excited to see him get a little more run. I'm excited to see him have the ball in his hands more. And honestly, like I said, sometimes you just got to strap a stick of dynamite to it and blow that shit up. And that's what the Memphis Grizzlies did. So salute to them, because a lot of teams wait too late to do it. They sold high on Jaren Jackson. They didn't sell high on Ja Morant. They probably should have did that last year. But you know, you got to move on when you got to move on. So I think they learned from the whole Ja thing, and they said we're going to trade high on Jaren Jackson Jr. and they got 3 first round picks out of him. So that's what's up. My man Penn in the chat, he is right. This deadline is already crazy, and I'm not done today, y'all. I got one more trade that I want to talk about. It's not as big as the last two. It's not as big as, the Jaren Jackson Jr. It's not as big as the Darius Garland for James Harden swap, but we do have one more trade that I do want to talk about. And this trade is a 3-team trade involving the Detroit Pistons, Chicago Bulls, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Surprisingly. And I'll get to the Wolves in a second. But let's start with I'm going to share this on the screen with you guys so you can see exactly what the trade looks like, who was in the trade, and you can come down to your conclusion of what exactly this means for each team. But bear with me while I share this on the screen. Y'all, today's been a crazy day. Turn on your notifications for Player's Choice, because I will be going live another time or two between now and Thursday. And I'll probably go live after the trade deadline as well on Thursday. But as of right now, y'all, this is what we're looking at, and this is what it is. We have the Detroit Pistons, Chicago Bulls, and the Minnesota Timberwolves in a 3-team trade. Now, this is what it is, y'all. The Pistons got Kevin Huerter, Dario Saric, and a 2026 swap. That 2026 swap came from the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll talk about that in a second. The Chicago Bulls got Mike Conley, Jaden Ivey, who are both on expiring contracts, and they can trade both of them right now. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves cleared $10 million in cap space, putting them a lot closer to the luxury tax, and now allowing them the space, the room, and the capacity to potentially go get a superstar. We'll get to that in a second. What I do want to say is I want to talk about this move and what it means for the Chicago Bulls and what it means for the Pistons. Now, you got Kevin Huerter. At first, I didn't like this move because I do think that Jaden Ivey is better than Kevin Huerter. However, my man Damian put together a fair point. He said last year with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, they fared well in that Detroit Pistons offense, especially next to Cade, next to Big Jalen Duren, and all of that good stuff. And he had a point. They did do good with 2 shooters, but 2 guys that could space the floor, 2 guys that could shoot on the move, and all of that good stuff. Now you add in Duncan Robinson, and you go get Kevin Huerter, who's another shooter. You put those 2 in this same lineup. Can they duplicate that same success, and can they help Cade out? This team obviously needs shooting. That's the biggest thing that they could use next to, the 2-man push that they got with Cade and Duren. Now you add in Kevin Huerter to that. I like Kevin Huerter. He's an active offensive player. I'll put it like that. He's constantly moving. He could shoot on the move. He could shoot off the dribble a little bit. He could space the floor. I like him shooting threes in transition too. So now they got Kevin Huerter. I do like that move. And they got a 2nd-round pick, which is, you never know. Sometimes you can strike on 2nd-round picks. So they got that as well. But the big thing in this is the Pistons are trying to compete, and they're trying to come out that East. And the Kevin Huerter move, although, once again, he's not better than Jaden Ivey to me, he potentially helps their team more on the offensive end. And Jaden Ivey, he was fresh off that injury. He's kind of been struggling a little bit. So that's that. The emergence of Ron Holland, Asor Thompson. So it's like Dennis Jenkins. So it's like maybe the Pistons were like, we don't necessarily need what you bring to the table. However, I do like this pickup for the Bulls. Now, word on the streets is that Kobe White is out, Ayo DeSomo's out, and the Bulls are looking to move forward and rebuild. They're looking to blow up what they have and rebuild from there. I think Jaden Ivey is going to be an intricate piece to what they're looking to do moving forward. Now, y'all keep in mind, Jaden Ivey was, I believe he was the number 4 pick or 5 pick. One of those. He was the 4 or 5 pick. He was highly touted. And Jaden Ivey still is a very talented player. He just hasn't necessarily got a chance to really get off in Detroit. And then that injury last year kind of threw things off. However, I think this is a good spot for him to get busy in Chicago, especially him at that 2 guard in between Josh Giddey and Matas Buzelis. I think he'll be able to thrive in Chicago. They need a guy that can really get downhill. They need an athletic wing. I think this is a spot for him, y'all. And the Bulls, like for Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric, the Bulls won in this deal. And now also, too, the Bulls got Mike Conley. And what I'm hearing is it's going to be one of two things. They are either A, going to just release Mike Conley and just eat his contract, buy him out basically, or they're looking to flip him in another deal. However, both of these are expiring deals, so I do think that they'll move forward with Jaden Ivey, but it's kind of a trial period for Jaden Ivey over the rest of the season where if they don't really like what they see with him or if he doesn't impress them, they could just let him walk. Mike Conley, same thing too. If they don't buy him out, he still comes off the books at the end of the season, so they're good to go. But that brings us to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now you see on here that they cleared $10 million in cap. I'm not sure if it was exactly $10 million. I know that they shedded a lot of money. A lot of money. And so Minnesota will see their luxury tax bill drop from $24 million to $3.8 million. They are now under the first apron and $3.8 million above the tax. So that's what it is. But do you guys know what this really means? Do we know what this really means? What this really, really, really means for Minnesota is that they have the room, the flexibility, and the capacity to go get Giannis. Giannis has let it be known that there are 2 locations that he wants to go to as of right now. The Miami Heat or the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Miami Heat or the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves are like, listen, we want you to come here, and we've cleared the space for you. Also, too, word on the streets is that the Timberwolves had an opportunity to get Kobe White. Now, we all know the Timberwolves have a glaring need in their lineup, and that's at the point guard position. They've needed a point guard for the last 2 seasons. Mike Conley has just been too old to get it done. Not Darius Garland. Bones Highland has stepped in, and he's been pretty good this year, but they are looking for a point guard. And Kobe White was on their radar. They've been in talks with the Bulls for Kobe White, and they potentially had a deal on the table. They could have got Kobe White in this deal, in this specific deal right here. However, the Timberwolves declined getting Kobe White. They declined getting Kobe White because they want Giannis Antetokounmpo. Think about that. We need a point guard. We want a point guard. We've actually been calling you guys about Kobe White. They offer them Kobe White in this deal, and the Wolves say, actually, hold off on that. Keep him. We're fishing for bigger things. We're big game hunting. We want to get the biggest asset at the trade deadline, a guy who wants to come here, and we're looking to pair up Anthony Edwards and Giannis Antetokounmpo. You right, Frank. They want 3-4 over there. So we're going to see. I'm hearing that the trade will be packaged around Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and some picks, probably another player thrown in there, maybe Terrence Shannon Jr., maybe Rob Dillingham. I'm not exactly sure, y'all. But I do know that that trade is going to shake the whole NBA up and turn everything upside down, especially in the West. Especially in the West. So we are going to see what's going to happen, and we're going to see exactly what that means for the NBA, y'all. Today has been crazy. The trade deadline is just getting cracking, y'all. It's only Tuesday. The trade deadline is not until Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to see what else has happened, what else is going to happen. But as of right now, James Harden and Darius Garland have been flopped. James Harden's playing for the Cavs. Darius Garland is playing for the Los Angeles Clippers. Jaren Jackson Jr. is now in Utah in a stunning event that I just didn't see happening. Walter Clayton Jr. to the Memphis Grizzlies. 3 first-round picks to the Memphis Grizzlies. Oh, I forgot. We got one more trade too. The Boston Celtics have been scorching hot this year. A lot of people thought it would be a rebuild year. A lot of people didn't think the Celtics would be competitive. I had people telling me that the Celtics should be in a race to get Cam Boozer this year and they should tank. However, the Celtics thought otherwise. They are tied for the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. They're 31-18 right now, tied with the New York Knicks at number 2, and they have been hooping. Jaylen Brown, as he was an all-star, he got voted an all-star starter. He's on his way to being first-team All-NBA. The Celtics are hooping this year. And in large part, that was due to them acquiring Anthony Simons in this offseason. However, Anthony Simons ain't there no more. Anthony Simons just got traded for Nikola Vucevic to the Bulls. The Bulls traded Nikola Vucevic and a second-round pick to the Boston Celtics for Anthony Simons. So Anthony came in, he hooped, he helped contribute to winning early in this year, but the Celtics clearly needed a center. Keita wasn't necessarily getting it done. Luka Garza wasn't necessarily getting it done. Like these guys have been good this year. They've been serviceable. They have definitely been serviceable, but they just needed to upgrade. And even then, just looking into the future, even when Tatum comes back next year, they're gonna need a more serviceable big. And the thing about it too is they got guard help. Baylor Shireman stepped in. He was pretty good for him. They still got Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White. You know, they got guard help. So Anthony Simons was kind of expendable for him. But the biggest thing for this team was getting a new center in. Now they got Nikola Vucevic. Yes, chosen one. He is an 18-10 guy. He's a guy that can stretch the floor. Now, cone on defense. Bad rim protector, but he knows how to play basketball. That's the biggest thing is he knows how to play basketball. And I think playing next to Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Sam Hauser, in that Joe Mazzulla offense, when Tatum comes back, I think he's going to fit in very good with these guys. I'm telling you, you got a big dude that can really space the floor. Like he's going to be a sneaky good addition for this team that's already rolling. Y'all, they was doing this with Keita at center and Luka Garza coming off the bench. They basically got Luka Garza on steroids now. Like they got Luka Garza with vibranium, you know, like with the Infinity Gauntlet now. So like Boston is about to turn up. I'm telling y'all right now, Boston is about to turn up. Don't let Tatum come back because it's really about to get ugly. Really about to get ugly. So we're going to see what's good with Boston. We're going to see what that means moving forward. But also, focusing on the Bulls, they have completely blown it up. Well, they are completely blowing it up. They're in the process of doing that right now. Nikola Vucevic is gone. Kevin Huerter, gone. They're saying Ayo and Kobe White are next on the move. I've heard the Rockets are trying heavily to get Kobe White, which that'd be a major move for the Rockets. If Minnesota doesn't end up getting Giannis Antetokounmpo, they could double back and get Kobe White. But even then, for both of those teams, if you can't get Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu's a good pickup for them too. Both of those teams just need another guard in their rotation, somebody that can start and somebody that can really just contribute on the offensive and defensive end. And those are two good guys that could do that. Luka Gold said the Lakers need Io. Io's a good pickup for a lot of teams. Kobe White's a good pickup for a lot of teams. And obviously, you guys know Giannis Antetokounmpo. You like he needs no introduction. So we'll just have to see, man. It is a lot going on. It's a lot of rumors. And really, like I said, turn on your notification bells because I will be breaking some more news here very soon. Don, what's the word? What's good with you? Your Pistons just came up with Kevin Huerter. I do think, once again, I think Jaden Ivey is better for him. But I do think Kevin Huerter is good for what y'all got going on. Don said Pistons need MPJ. I don't think y'all gonna get MPJ, dog. I think Kevin Huerter is y'all. I think that's you guys' move. I think that's y'all trade deadline move. Y'all could have went big game hunt and got MPJ, but you would have had to give up a little bit more. However, y'all got Kevin Huerter now. Jaden Ivey, you know, I'm not going to say he was expendable. Yeah, he was expendable, but I like Jaden Ivey a lot. Like, when I watched the Pistons play, Jaden Ivey looked good to me. I like his ability to get downhill. I like him when he gets to those 2-dribble pull-ups. I like him when he's, maneuvering off those pick and rolls. He's a demon in the fast break. I like Jaden Ivey. And it was actually some games, too, where he just he wasn't making his shots and he was kind of, he was a little bit off. He wasn't fully in rhythm. But I think a lot of that was due to just kind of the injury and all of that stuff. And if once he gets the ball in his hands a little more in Chicago, I think Jaden Ivey's going to break out. Y'all, hear me out and hear me clearly. Don't be surprised if next year we're seeing Jaden Ivey in most improved player talks. Do not be surprised if he gets to the Bulls, gets the ball in his hands more. Jaden Ivey jumps to average in 17, 18 next year because he can do that if he gets enough minutes and if he has the ball in his hands, he could for sure do that. So we'll just have to see, y'all. But once again, turn on your notification bells, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on TikTok. I'm gonna go live here on TikTok here pretty soon. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us everywhere. And once again, turn on your notification bells. Don, I know you just jumped in here, but the Bulls, hey, it's a fly sale for the Bulls. Hey, it's a garage sale. It's an estate sale. Ayo Dosunmu is gone. From reports and rumors, Ayo Dosunmu will be gone by Thursday. Kobe White he could have been in that Timberwolves trade. The Rockets are trying to get Kobe White right now as we speak. So Kobe White is gone. So yeah, they will have a lot of guards. Oh, they did just get Anthony Simons too, huh? Okay, so they do have a lot. They do have a lot. So hold on, let me see because I have it right here. So now they have Anthony Simons, and I'm gonna leave Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu out of this simply because word on the streets is that they're gone. So as of right now, the Bulls at the guard position have Anthony Simons, Josh Giddey, who is their starting point guard. So we know Josh is going to start. Anthony's probably going to come off the bench. They have Mike Conley, but once again, they've said that they're either going to release Mike Conley, i.e. buying him out, or he's just going to, Mike Conley's not going to play over any of these names. And he's an expiring contract, so they would just keep him until he just, to the end of the season and just let him walk in free agency. However, so it's looking like Josh Giddey starting at point guard. Then you have Anthony Simons. You have and Trey Jones. I believe Jaden Ivey's going to start at the 2 guard over Trey Jones. He's bigger. He gets downhill better. He's more athletic. And he just fits that mold of a starting 2 guard in the NBA more than Trey Jones. So I'm assuming it's Josh Giddey, Trey Jones is the starting backcourt, or Josh Giddey, Jaden Ivey's the starting backcourt. And then you bring Trey Jones and you bring Anthony Simons off the bench. Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White, it's looking like they're on their way out the door. Mike Conley, buddy, you're just here to give words of advice, okay? Words of wisdom. Hey, you're just here to make sure that the young guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Hey, you just another coach out there. Yeah. Hey, the Trib one. Yeah. Jaren Jackson is gone. He is in Utah. Jaren Jackson. So for everybody, because I see a lot of people just join late, so I'm gonna run back down everything before I get up out of here. James Harden and Darius Garland have been traded for each other. Darius Garland in a 2nd-round pick is headed to the Los Angeles Clippers. James Harden is heading to Cleveland. Cleveland is looking to go all in. They're making a push to come out the East and potentially win a championship. They did that in large part because there are rumors swirling around that if Cleveland has another first or second round exit this year, next year, Donovan Mitchell might be out of there. So Cleveland went all in. They're like, yo, James, come on. Let's go ahead and make this move. Which James Harden is the best playoff performer, so I don't know if that was the right move to do. However, that's what they did. The Los Angeles Clippers, on the other hand, they're getting a starting caliber point guard, all-star caliber point guard, a guy that is young. And, Darius Garland still has a lot of potential. Now he comes in, and we'll see exactly what that means for the Clippers. I don't think it will be much drop-off here for the Clippers. I think Darius Garland's going to step in and get busy for the Clippers. The Clippers have been winning like crazy. They've been the hottest team in the league since the middle of December. So we'll see exactly what that means for the Clippers. But I'm not mad at it for both sides. I'm really not. We'll just have to see what it looks like. But that was the first trade. Second trade, Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been traded to the Grizzlies, and it was a big move. Let me read off this whole thing. So Jaren Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Jock Landale, Vince Williams Jr. is going to the Utah Jazz for Walter Clayton, Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, and 3 future first-round picks. So the highlights of this trade, obviously the Utah Jazz will be getting a former Defensive Player of the Year, all defensive caliber player, and an all-star level player as well. We can say all NBA type player too. Jaren Jackson Jr. is that good. When he got it going, he is that good. There's obviously a flaw to Jaren Jackson Jr., but I'm not going to get into any of that. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a good player. He's a top 30 player in the NBA. 100% he's a top 30 player. Lauri Markkanen, top 30, 25 player in the NBA, top 20 maybe. They got him as well. So the Utah Jazz are now doubling down on their 2 forwards. And that's really what it is. The Memphis Grizzlies are rebuilding. They have 13 picks, first-round picks over the next 7 years. They just got 3 future first-round picks from the Grizzlies, or from the Utah Jazz. So the Grizzlies now are looking to rebuild. They're looking to use this draft capital and, start over again. They still have Jaren Jackson, or they still have Ja Morant. We'll see exactly what happens with Ja Morant and what all that means. Also, there was a 3-team deal earlier today. In that 3-team deal, you got Jaden Ivey leaving the Pistons, and he is going to the Bulls with Mike Conley. You got Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric going to the Pistons. And the Minnesota Timberwolves supplied a pick in there, a pick swap with Detroit. So I'm hearing it's either a second-round pick. I've also heard that it's a pick swap. I'm not exactly sure what it is. However, the Timberwolves stepped in this deal, and they got off of Mike Conley, and they threw in a pick basically to get off of Mike Conley. And in the process of them doing that, they basically freed up a bunch of cap room, and it put them under the second apron, and now they have the flexibility to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo. That also happened, y'all. And last but not least, the Chicago Bulls and the Boston Celtics have jumped into the trade rumors and have jumped into the trade pool. And now Nikola Vucevic is heading to Boston to be their starting center. And you got Anthony Simons going and joining the Bulls. They got a bunch of guards over there right now, but everything's all going to work out, y'all. It's been a crazy day. It's been a crazy day. Once again, you guys turn on your notification bells because I promise you, I will be going live again at the start of the next trade or at the announcement of the next trade. You never know what's going to happen. Trade deadline is in just under 48 hours. Anything could pop off at any given moment. Salute to everybody that's watching on Twitter. Salute to everybody that's watching on Facebook. Salute to everybody that follows us across all platforms. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all of that. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. It has been fun. It has been real. See you in the morning. Oh, yeah. Be sure to pull up to the panel in the morning, starting at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 3-hour live stream Monday through Friday. We go every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday. But tomorrow is going to be insane. And y'all know it's going to be insane. I can't wait to hear what Chill got to say, Mars got to say, Ox got to say, Damian got to say. Real Talks, Hating Ass is going to be there tomorrow. I can't wait to see what he got to say. It's going to be crazy, chat. Y'all pull up and do what y'all do best. I'm out.